Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John, that's my co-order commentary Ashton, and this is our NXT review. I gotta say, not a bad episode of NXT tonight. I was pretty meh on it for the most part, if I'm honest. There was one really good match to start, and I have quite a bit to say about that. And the NXT Tag Team Championship match wasn't bad. I think it was exactly what we were promised when you look at like everybody involved. But other than that, wasn't really too enthused with much, save for Johnny Gargano's return. I thought that was done very well. But yeah, kind of a middle-of-the-road episode of NXT tonight, if I'm honest. Partner, what'd you think of it?
Yeah, I actually completely agree with you, although I will say, here's kind of an ironic point that I want to make. If I told you tonight that we would be getting, out of all these matches, we would be getting Taya versus Jeremiah Crane, Mil Muertes versus Paul London, Marty versus Phoenix, an Aleister Black exhibition match, a women's tournament qualifying match, and an NXT championship, tag team championship match, you would probably never guess that the best match out of those 6 options would end up being the Aleister Black exhibition match.
No, you wouldn't, but I actually agree with you. I really enjoyed that match tonight. And yeah, I felt like that was the strongest point of NXT. But continue, because I know it was your turn to talk about what you thought of NXT tonight.
Yeah, that's really like the main point I wanted to make was that even, and I feel like this is like the second or third week in a row now that we're saying that even though Lucha Underground was the better show, if you put Lucha Underground and NXT together, NXT had the best match.
Yeah. And that's really something. But we'll talk about that in a few moments. Do you have any other preliminary remarks you want to make?
Funny enough, since we're comparing NXT and Lucha Underground, I think that NXT could have used more backstage segments and what I would refer to in Lucha Underground as cinematics on this show. I think that we got too many recaps and not enough new character-building content on this show.
Oh, yeah, there were quite a few recaps on tonight's show. I completely agree with you. I feel like in one way, NXT is very conscious about moving forward, and there were 2 segments on this show in particular that I feel like were very emblematic of that. But yeah, a lot of recapping stuff, and, you know, I don't know, man. NXT's been on kind of a roll lately. I feel like their momentum took kind of a dip tonight, because, again, I was pretty mad on this show, if I'm being honest. But I'm still looking forward to Brooklyn 3. You know, takeovers are always something to look forward to. It's just sometimes you got to slog through the TV. And this wasn't so much a slog. I don't want to make it seem like that. But I don't know. I'm starting to see a little bit of a dip, and we'll see if that continues or not. That's up to NXT to decide.
Yeah, I've been kind of keeping my finger on the pulse as far as like what's going to happen on NXT going forward. And it does seem like there's some interesting stuff, but I don't think... I mean, it might come off as going out on a limb just because this is like a big thing to say. But if you actually would kind of look at what the card looks like on paper, I'm not really going that much out on a limb when I say I think Brooklyn is going to be basically a filler pay-per-view. I don't necessarily think any titles are going to change hands on that show. I don't think there are going to be any like 5-star classic kind of matches on that show. I think Brooklyn 3 is looking like it's going to be hands down the weakest Brooklyn pay-per-view of all time. And arguably one of the worst takeover shows that we've seen in a while.
Damn, that is disheartening to hear because, I mean, Brooklyn is a huge show for NXT. You know, that is their SummerSlam. So to hear you not only say it'll be the weakest of the 3, but one of the worst takeovers, like, generally, that's not a light statement to make. So we'll have to see how it all shakes out. But with that said, are you ready to really get the ball rolling on this?
Yes.
All right, then let us get into our first segment, Heat of the Night. You know, no heats of the night, really. Not even really any nitpicks. Just, again, this is a middle-of-the-road show, and I guess we'll get more into why I feel that way when we get into the actual review. So, partner, is there anything you want to single out, nitpick, or just full-blown, God, I hated this tonight in this segment?
Not really. I mean, the second match, the Vanessa Bourne versus Jamie Heishi, match felt like it really didn't need to be aired on NXT TV. Like, you could have just thrown that up on the YouTube channel, just like you did with, you know, Aaliyah versus
Bianca Belair.
Yeah, like you could have treated it the same way as that, and I don't think anyone would have complained. I actually read in sort of a non-spoiler match listing for tonight that we were supposed to get an Ember Moon match, and we didn't, so that was disappointing. And I guess that got replaced with this qualifying match, which really not worth it, really. I mean, I get that you want to kind of build up some of the people that are going to be in the tournament, but I think Vanessa Bourne is one of those examples of somebody who's probably going to get eliminated in round one, so at that point, why even bother?
Yeah, like if you really want to build up these people and see, this is where, I mean, WWE is a conglomerate, right? I'm going to be the last person to tell them how to use their media because they've got their fingers in all media. But I mean, you have a YouTube channel. Why not put the matches of the lesser competitors on there, to your point? And then if you really want to build stuff, why don't you give them character bios like we saw in the CWC, you know, like Rich Swann getting to tell his story and stuff. You do that on YouTube. I think that's great traffic for the channel. You get to watch it at your convenience. So people that interest you, you can check out, and other people, you know, you could really decide for yourself. And I think that's kind of diversifying your content even more. So I don't understand why they don't do something like that. But, you know, it is what it is. You have anything else you want to say?
I actually wanted to kind of bring up a point, and that involves me asking you a question. Did they have, or rather, did they televise CWC qualifying matches on NXT television?
I don't believe they did, no.
Yeah, I didn't think they did either. Why the hell? Why would they? And especially because, like, if you would have done it with the CWC, we would have been able to see more interesting characters like Hot Sauce Tracy Williams in Evolve and stuff like that. What exactly is the point of showing, literally, like, going out of your way to pay not necessarily a local talent, but you know, somebody that's not even going to be in the Mae Young Classic to show up in Full Sail for the sake of competing in one match to lose to somebody that's going to lose their first round match? It's just like the way they're going about this whole thing feels very Bush League to me.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, dude, because I don't want to be that guy, but I almost wonder if, like, I don't want to say like underlying sexism or anything that hyperbolic, but it's funny that they do this for the women's tournament. When the two men's tournaments, they didn't bother. So I wonder if they almost feel like they have to go the extra mile to showcase these women. Otherwise, people aren't going to care. When really, if you take a look at women's wrestling, like, the scene's hot right now. And again, one of the friends that I often mention on this show, you know, when it's appropriate, Jackie, like, she always tells me the big things going on. You and I already know some talents like Tony Storm, Kairi Hojo, and stuff like that. I don't think you need to do any extra stuff to get us invested. And again, it's just a thought I had. Maybe it's totally off the mark. I just find it funny, though, that they're doing all of this when it just happens to be a women's tournament. And I don't know if they're like, you know, are we still in a climate where people don't care about women's wrestling? Should we do all this to be like, hey, guys, it's the Mae Young Classic? No, I think you just let the talent, the actual quality talent, speak for itself. And you treat the one-rounders like these two as one-rounders. You don't show them till the tournament, and then they leave in the same, you know, kind of breath. So I don't know, man. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, like, we didn't get to see, you know, like frickin' Raul Mendoza's qualifying match.
Right.
You know, or who's that Samoan guy that you liked so much?
Oh, God. I can't think of his name, and I'm not going to spend 15 minutes like trying to mull it over. But
by the way, you said oh yeah, Sean Maluda. Thank you. You said two men's tournaments. What is the other one you're referring to other than the CWC?
UK tournament.
Oh yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm glad you brought that up, because yeah, that's another example where they just kind of let the talent speak for themselves. It's almost like reverse sexism at this point. Like, they're trying to overcompensate for the women, trying to put in extra work for the women because they don't believe that the women can win people over on their own.
Well, that's precisely what I'm saying, and I didn't know if me like saying it aloud, it was like a far-fetched thought, because I know it's even weird to say aloud.
The thing is, I think WWE is more guilty of that these days than actual sexism.
Yeah, I mean, because, I mean, you and I have talked about how masturbatory they could be. Oh, look at what we're doing with our women, guys, where, like, you look at Lucha Underground, and we already talked about what was so great about the Taya match tonight with Jeremiah Crane. They don't make a big deal out of anything. The woman ate a running face wash, and got fired up again, almost like Strong Style-esque. And they weren't like, oh my God, can you believe the toughness of this woman? It's just like, no, they're two competitors, a completely gender neutral term. And I wish WWE would kind of operate in a similar vein. Like, we get it, they're women, but women's wrestling again is hot right now. Let's not, make a big deal. Let's not make it awkward of being like, oh, hey guys, aren't these great for women? Yeah, sure. But are they great just as athletes in general? Absolutely, for sure. So yeah, you don't have to try so hard. And again, I wish they would just trim the fat, really push the quality talent. Like, you've got Kairi Hojo, who's now going to be Kairi Sane in this tournament. I've seen one YouTube video of her like announcing it, and no promotion outside of that. You've given people like Bianca Belair more promotion in a way than Kairi Sane, because you'd think you would like get some NXT segments like talking about her and Toni Storm and others. And it's just like, that's what's killing my interest. You not doing that, not the idea, of anything else. So yeah, just let the talent speak for themselves. I don't see what's so hard about that.
Exactly. All right. I think we can move on and get into a review.
All right, let's get right into our NXT review. And partner, how do we open this up?
We open this up with a video package showing Tommaso Ciampa turning on Johnny Gargano to take over Chicago and talking about how it was his moment. And then we get the announcement that Gargano returns to NXT tonight.
Yes, very excited to talk about this later. I thought this went very well. But, that said, I feel like we go from this right to the exhibition match to start off, correct?
We did get to see Roderick Strong backstage from last week. We see him with his wife, with his mom.
Yeah. What's funny is I already watched all these recaps like on the YouTube channel, so it was weird kind of like seeing them again. But then again, like that's pretty much every post takeover show ever is just like rehashing these recaps that are already on YouTube. So yeah, I did see that. I thought that was a cool thing. Roderick's still a very strong babyface. Still think they might have made the wrong call on some things, but we'll get maybe more into that later. And then we get into the Aleister Black exhibition match.
Yeah, Aleister Black versus a debuting Bobby Fish. And before we even get into the match, I just want to say, wrong Red Dragon guy for this debut.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, not Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah.
That said, putting that aside, I'll leave the floor to you. What did you think about this match?
You know what? Regardless of the fact that it was the 40-year-old Red Dragon guy rather than the 30-year-old young, fresh, spry Red Dragon guy, Bobby Fish still put on an amazing match here with Aleister. This was really, really good. And I even have in my notes here, just kind of in the moment watching this match, Aleister Black needs to be our next NXT champion. It just makes too much sense. He's the perfect guy. And I also added at the end there that Black Mass is an incredible finisher for him.
Dude, it's so funny to me because I look at Aleister Black, and I know I've said about other guys like, oh, you could print money and this and that, and some guys I've been right, other guys I've been wrong, or at least wrong so far. You never know when the ship's going to be righted on course. To me, Aleister Black is the perfect storm. Like, everything comes together so perfectly in a performer that just embodies the very best that professional wrestling has to offer. Because the character to me is on point and is very resonant with this crowd. And he's already done tours and stuff, so it's resonant with larger crowds. The theme, while I personally don't care for it, is perfect for the character. And the moveset, what I loved about this match, and not to sound like, because I've listened to a lot of shoot interviews of him. I'm actually fond of listening to him. Not to sound like a Jim Cornette type or anything, but I think what I adored about this match is just how believable it was.
Yeah.
Like, you got these guys striking each other and working over legs. Like, it really was like MMA synthesized with pro wrestling, which is perfect when you think about the two backgrounds of these guys. And they were able to put on a match that if you lived in a bubble and the internet wasn't a thing, these are the kinds of matches that in my mind protect kayfabe. And I mean that as the biggest compliment possible. Because damn, was it hard hitting. It was physical. And let me tell you something else too, is like a little side note. That knee that Aleister Black hit to set up Black Mass is the perfect setup maneuver. Because he hit that knee and I'm like, fuck, you could have pinned him right there. then you add Black Mass and you could murder anybody on this fucking roster. Do agree with you, it was the wrong Red Dragon member, but you know what though? At the same time, as contradictory as it sounds, it was the right Red Dragon member, because Aleister Black is so hot right now, ain't no fucking way he's going to take a loss anytime soon, but I don't want Kyle O'Reilly to lose his debut match. Especially because NXT doesn't have the talent of Lucha Underground, in my mind, to really pull that off effectively. So in that vein, Bobby Fish really was the perfect choice, because I really don't give a shit if he loses or wins. Aleister Black is the priority here. NXT knew it too. This guy just gets it. And as far as your note, bringing it full circle, that he must be our next NXT champion, dude, I am right there with you, 250%, period. So do you have anything else you want to say? Because that's pretty much my review, brother.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that at the end of the day, Aleister Black just makes too much sense as our next NXT champion. The way that they've been building both him and Bobby Roode, they really are the ultimate clash of styles. Because if you think about it, Bobby Roode, he's this prim, proper, rich champion. He's part of the 1%. He cares about the appearance and the perception of him and NXT and the brand and all that stuff. Aleister Black is dark and grungy and kind of dirty, and he doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks about him or NXT or anything like that. All he cares about is being able to get in that ring and kick ass.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's funny because I think we've been seeing stuff sprinkled. I don't want to say heavy. I don't want to be like, oh, Attitude Era 2.0. I don't want to get hyperbolic. That's not my point. But I think we're seeing sprinklings on all the different products of like edgier stuff and more like in-your-face stuff. And Aleister Black, I think, definitely is that for NXT, because just a straight-up ass kicker with, I think, a very cool message and look and stuff like that. And he's really become one of my favorites. Like, I think it's gotten to the point where his music hits, and I know we're going to get something good on that show. So that really says how far Aleister Black has come, because he used to be Tommy End, and yeah, I used to like him, but I never really saw him. But it's amazing what a great character can do for you, and that's exactly what it's done for Aleister Black for me. So,
well, and the funny thing is, the character is really just him with the volume turned up, and they always say that's what the best
characters. Always, consistently, and we've said that consistently on this show, and Aleister Black is just another testament to that fact. So with that said, do you have anything else you want to say about this match?
No, just it was really, really fun match, and I hope to get more and more of Aleister Black in the future. I hope he kind of becomes more of a regular rather than just like a once-a-month kind of attraction.
Oh, absolutely. And one more note about the match, because it just put the biggest smile on my face. I heard you pop when he hit Black Mass, and that to me is everything, because I guarantee you that's going to be crowds like across the country, if not globally, because I know he's already done international tours, I think, with Raw. And yeah, that Black Mass, that impact is great. I hope it kind of achieves that RKO effect, where people are just anticipating him taking heads off, that it just gets that kind of pop every time, because I think that's very telling, and I thought that was so cool. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about it. Let's move on.
All right, up next, we got a recap of Hideo and Cassius Ohno losing their tag match to Sanity last week. And then we see backstage, Cassius Ohno catches up to Hideo Itami. And Itami full-on blames Ohno for the loss. And Ohno just kind of lectures Itami about accountability.
Yeah. I mean, Cassius Ohno is pretty much more or less saying, Hideo, I'm really getting sick of your shit, man. Like, tried to be patient with you, tried to be good guy Cassius, but you know what? You ain't listening. Screw you. I'm going home. So I really can't say I blame Cassius. Definitely just waiting for Hideo's lid to just pop off and to get this heel turn going, because I am so into everything Hideo does. I think my NXT top 5 is going to look very interesting, because Andrade really isn't doing anything. I'm still waiting for him and Thea Trinidad to tear shit up, but that hasn't happened yet. And I'm telling you, Aleister Black and Hideo, man, they're looking at me and they're like, right you are. Damn right you are. So I can't wait for Hideo to really formally turn heel and just change the landscape, because Shit's really good right now. That's the thing that I want to keep emphasizing, that I'm really feeling. The writing may not be spectacular across the board when you think about WWE's products and then more broadly across different promotions, but there are so many great performers right now. And of course, Lucha Underground is an entity I adore. I still think it's an amazing time to be a wrestling fan, and just thinking about a heel Itami is just another argument in that camp. So yeah, I'm quite excited, but we really didn't get much here.
I think that the talent level is so ridiculously saturated that it really does come down to writing, because like, even though I'm not going to say that the talent level in every promotion is the exact same, in general, every promotion has a lot of talent, and it really does come down to who is utilizing their talent the best. And I think that's why we love Lucha Underground so much, because we really do feel like no promotion pushes individual performers' strengths to the forefront while hiding their weaknesses better than Lucha Underground.
Oh, dude, absolutely. And you made a very apropos comment. I don't know if it was in conversation to me. I think it was. And then, of course, I know somebody pointed out Kevin Owens, which, I mean, of course, they're right. But you said a lot of my favorite guys are on Raw. I mean, I adore Rollins. Balor's really growing on me now that I think, like, he's really, like, back in his stride. You know how I feel about Strowman, but the writing is insufferable. So it really is an interesting time, because so many amazing performers that you're right. It really does come down to the writing. And I'm liking the writing for Hideo, just getting pissed off, realizing that he's got to change some things. And I think the feud with Cassius, I think their match at Brooklyn, if it's as weak a card as you're anticipating, for all we know, that match could steal the fucking show. In fact, if the NXT Championship match is what I'm thinking it'll be, and knowing that the Revival isn't on NXT anymore and DIY's broken up, so we don't know what the tag team situation is going to be, which we got a hint of that tonight as well, I'm already going to say.
Which is really interesting, too, because the Dusty Classic usually follows NXT Brooklyn, and that's coming up next month.
That is true. That is very true. But I'm calling my shot right now. Given how the card looks like it's going to shake out, I think Hideo Cassius will be the best match on that show, and I personally can't wait for it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say about this. We can move on.
Yeah, Hideo Cassius is going to be very interesting, but I'm not ready to call that the best match on the show until we find out who Aleister Black is facing.
That is true. That is true. And dude, can I just say too, since we're already kind of having a mini discussion about the card, I hope Andrade makes it on the card. I don't even care if he faces like a local competitor. I need my fix. It's been too long. I need my fucking fix. I'm starting to get a little cranky. So yeah, we'll see how the card shakes out. I am still looking forward to it. But in the meantime, what came next?
Yeah, up next, we got Kayla Braxton trying to interview Velveteen Dream and failing miserably. And he literally tells her, figure something else out.
I love it. I love it. You know, Patrick Clark really is that guy. If you're not paying attention to him, it's going to pass you by. Because, like, he has such confidence in the character, and he knows it so well. You know, he just kind of stops there. You really think this is the best setting? Oh, I interview other superstars. That's your problem. Those are other superstars on the Velveteen Dream. Dude, I honestly hope, and see, this is what always saddens me at the same time, right? Like I said, in so many ways, amazing time to be a wrestling fan, but there are always drawbacks. And I keep saying, and I feel like such an old fart, this isn't old school NXT where we can expect guys like Bo to be NXT champion, because I'd love to see a Velveteen Dream in the title picture. Can you imagine him totally straight-faced telling a guy like Aleister Black, if he won the title, you pretty much ain't shit. I'm the Velveteen Dream. I should be NXT champion. Like, to me, he's that heel that you should put in the title picture, especially with a guy like if Black ever became champion, on the principle that you want to see him get his head kicked off. And then if he would win, oh my God, that heat. Like, I want to see this guy do big things, because I think Patrick Clark's got the ability to pull them off. I just don't know the vision that WWE has for him. And I thought this was great. I think this guy is so confident and comfortable and just knows the gimmick. And yeah, give him more stuff to do. Get him on the Brooklyn card. Please, please get him on the Brooklyn card. Hell, I'll say this right now. I know we haven't gotten to this segment yet. Johnny Gargano says he's back and he wants to be on Brooklyn. Put Johnny Gargano against Velveteen Dream. Why the hell not? You got to start his singles career somewhere. I think either him or Andrade would be the perfect first opponent for Gargano. And it gives Velveteen Dream some great exposure facing a talent like Gargano at a takeover. So I'd personally love to see that match. Just me. So yeah, that's all I got to say about Velveteen Dream. Unless you have anything you want to add, we can move on.
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't really have much to add. I just kind of want to agree with pretty much everything you said there, because really, I mean, Velveteen Dream to me is like that's the like ultimate prospect, where he just kind of checks every single box that
Right.
you look for in a WWE performer. So yeah, like to me, if not Big E, he's our next Black WWE champion.
I hope so. I really, really hope so, dude. Because to me, he's got, and again, I mean this as a compliment because I still haven't completely soured on the guy. He's got that like Cody Rhodes quality, or that William Regal quality, if you prefer. Like, he's not afraid to do gimmicks that other guys would probably like
I was
sneer
gonna
at.
say, I'm like trying to figure out what Cody Rhodes, William Regal, and Velveteen Dream all have in common, and I'm just mind blown by that comparison.
Yeah, but like he's not afraid, because William Regal always said, like, you want to be successful in this business, don't be afraid to make a fool of yourself. Don't be afraid to do things that you may think are beneath you, but like test yourself and see if you can make them work. I think a lot of people would look at the Velveteen Dream gimmick, just be like, I ain't doing that. Like I'm supposed to be serious or this and that. And like he took it on and he's put his back into it. And I think you'd give this guy anything, and he's so passionate about the product and he wants to do this, that if he's like, if it gets my foot in the door, I'll make it work. I'll get a reaction out of it. And he is. Like, I would not be surprised if in a few months he was one of the top heels that wasn't like these already established indie or other company talents. So yeah.
I mean, the
stuff.
funny thing is, he and Leo Rush, since you're talking about indie stars, Patrick Clark and Leo Rush were actually tag team champions for a Maryland promotion before Patrick got the call back to WWE.
That's very interesting. Did not know that.
Yeah.
So yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff.
And hey, speaking of Leo Rush, he signed too. He's in NXT now too.
Yeah, great for him. I'm very excited to see what he'll do, because it's NXT. You know, he's not going to be mingling with other cruiserweights. He'll actually do exciting stuff, and that.
Well, that was actually my concern, is that even though he's signed to an NXT contract, they might fast track him to the main roster and stick him in 205.
I hope they don't, dude. Let that kid shine for a little while before you totally crush
There are a
him.
lot of guys coming in that were kind of ROH/indie darlings that I'm really scared are going to end up getting locked in that 205 live kind of pigeonhole.
I share that fear too. We can only hope that it won't happen, but only time will tell. In the meantime, though, what's next to talk about?
The one guy we don't have to worry about getting locked in that is Adam Cole, the fat bastard.
There you go. Still a sexy beast, though.
What was that?
Still a sexy beast, though.
Oh, of course. Up next, we had Vanessa Bourne versus Jamie Hache, and this was a nothing match. Vanessa, formerly Danielle Camella, won with like a crazy weird variation of like a capture suplex, I want to say. I'm not really sure what I would call it, but it was a pretty cool finisher. But yeah, there really was nothing to this match that caught my eye other than the finisher.
Yeah, the finisher was the only thing that made me kind of pop, like, oh, that's interesting. I will say this. They gave this match the amount of time that I thought Bianca Belair's match should have gotten. Because if there's one thing, I don't think, like, Vanessa got overly exposed here, you know, being the winner of the bout. And, you know, Jamie didn't get exposed either in my mind. Because it really didn't go on that long where it's like the crowd was able to fall into a lull, or they were able to make themselves look like shit. I feel like they could have done Bianca Belair a similar service, but that was more of a competitive match given that her opponent was Aaliyah, who's been around a while. So yeah, Vanessa wins. Nothing really more to say than that. Let's move on.
All right. Up next, we had a WWE.com video from last week showing Drew McIntyre being assaulted by Sanity in the parking lot. And once they're done kind of beating him down, Alexander Wolf pulls up a chair and tells him that his time is running out.
Yep, and they just kind of laughed themselves like, oh, what a great assault we just perpetuated. You know, job well done. And then we transitioned from that to Regal and, you know, Rude and Regal's office. And they're talking about, you know, Rude's next challenger. And, of course, Rude is just like, look, I know where you're going. You know, McIntyre's undefeated. Dane's undefeated. Why don't we have the two undefeated guys go against each other? And Regal's like, oh, you sure you're not doing that? Because, you know, you'd get to scout him out. He's like, oh, no, Mr. Regal, you know me better than that. I think this is an opportunity to make money. You know, in the NXT crowd, they give good money. So, you know, Rude, again, that business-minded character. So then Regal signs off on the idea. He says the winner between Dane and McIntyre will go on to face Rude at TakeOver Brooklyn. And again, like, I just have this feeling in my gut. I can't lie to you guys. I really, to say that I don't care, maybe a bit harsh.
I will. I can say I legitimately don't give a shit about either one of these guys facing Bobby Roode.
I'm just looking at this dude and I'm like, this should have been Strong's story. Like, the story they did for Strong, that was TakeOver, like quintessential TakeOver to me. And I don't know. I feel like NXT really got their priorities screwed up here, because I feel like whoever wins this, that should have been the TV match, because it still would have been a solid TV match, right? And then Strong Rude, that was just so TakeOver worthy. And then for me, you would have changed the finish. I mean, maybe you still could have gotten away with Rude retaining, but to me, a Strong winning in front of that kind of a crowd, I feel like that would be one of those NXT moments they always like to brag about.
That would feel like a TakeOver Brooklyn.
Exactly. Dude, I can't lie, and I won't be able to lie all the way to Brooklyn. I think they really screwed up the main event scene here. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah, because to me, I mean, even if you didn't want to just do the switcheroo and have Rude face either McIntyre or Dane on TV and then do Rude Strong on TakeOver, Aleister Black would have been a better option. I feel like even like Johnny Gargano at this point might have been a better option. You have just way too many better options. To me, like, the thing is, it felt more like they were building Aleister Black than Drew McIntyre, because, like, they didn't put Drew McIntyre against Cassius Ohno. They put Aleister Black against Cassius Ohno, and he freaking beat him.
Yeah. And, dude, if we're being honest, now I know you'd have to kind of reach, okay? I readily understand that. But even if you look at Aleister Black's exhibition match tonight and Bobby Fish to me is more credibility than pretty much every guy that McIntyre's beaten.
Yeah.
So, like,
well, like, another weird thing, and something that I kind of see as something that just doesn't make sense with the confines of NXT. Why is Killian Dane suddenly interested in beating Bobby Roode when it seems like he and Alexander Wolf are more interested in going after the Authors of Pain?
Yeah, like, and again, you want to talk about having priorities screwed up. You even look at the Sanity faction. Why is Killian Dane taking that role when Eric Young is clearly the leader?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't know, dude. I think for me, I don't know what it is with me lately, but I think when things like annoy me, I can't just, like, I don't know. It's just, I can't look past it. And I think they did such a great job with Strong Rude, and they are doing a great job with Aleister Black. And then I look at McIntyre, who I like. You know, I am a McIntyre fan. It's just, why should I care about this build? Oh, because you came back after a long hiatus and you just said, I want to be NXT champion, so that's why you're on the radar. Like, you have to explicitly say your goal is to be NXT champion, because Aleister Black hasn't talked much. So maybe that's kind of the joke, right? Like, Aleister Black would say, why aren't I in the discussion? Well, you never asked. But, like, why should it have to be explicitly stated, I want to be NXT champion? That should be an implied goal for everybody that signs a contract. You know, like, I don't know. Aleister Black's been so dominant. Maybe they feel like he's deserving of a bigger stage, but there is no bigger stage right now, or there should be no bigger stage.
That's the thing, yeah. Like, Brooklyn is legitimately, like, I know that as far as chronologically, they have a show the day before WrestleMania every year now. But from, like, an actual prestige and credibility perspective, Brooklyn is the biggest show of the year for NXT. Like, that first Brooklyn, you had the Vaudevillains winning the tag titles for the first time. You had Bayley, or not Bayley. Yeah, Bayley. No, in the Bayley versus Sasha. And yeah, Bayley won that, didn't she?
She did, yeah.
Yeah, that was the first Brooklyn. And then the second Brooklyn, you had Nakamura. I'm pretty sure that was when Nakamura won the world title, wasn't it?
Either that or, yeah, I think you might be right about that. Yeah. Because then, yeah, I think you're right. Nakamura won the NXT title. So
yeah, he did. Nakamura beat Samoa Joe for the NXT title in the second TakeOver Brooklyn.
Now, I mean, here's the thing, and here is the only thing I will say. There is a possibility, because, dude, let's just say it outright right now. there's no way they're doing Dane versus Rude. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
I already feel like what they're going to do.
Well, and honestly, the way that NXT ended tonight, they're probably going to do Dane and Wolf versus Authors of Pain for the tag titles, which makes sense. But then it makes me even angrier that Dane is even in consideration for NXT World Title contention.
Yeah, and if like you're, and I'm not blaming Dane for this because he's supposed to do what his character's told to do, whatever. But like the NXT writing, if you're kind of implying that Dane's kind of double dipping, thinking about both the NXT title and the NXT tag title, that takes away any believability to me that Dane's going to win. Why not put Black in that spot? Because then you got Black versus McIntyre, which I do think is a great match waiting to happen. And you get Drew's first loss out of the way early, which the only reason I say that, right, is because I'm going to echo what Draven said earlier in the chat. I still can't buy Drew as a face, but if we're going to try it, I feel like he should have some sympathy there. Like, it shouldn't come so easily to him after being gone for so long. And then you have Black in this spot. I don't know. I just feel like
the thing is, dude, the reason we're both so frustrated with this whole thing is because it doesn't feel earned for McIntyre. It doesn't feel like he's done anything in NXT to actually deserve a number one contender match in the first place. He just showed up. He's beaten nothing but like lower card guys since showing up, and now all of a sudden he's being gifted a number one contender match because he hasn't lost against any of the scrubs you've put him up against, even though there are other guys. And that was so frustrating too, was during this scene between Regal and Rude, they said, you have the undefeated Drew McIntyre and the undefeated Killian Dane. What about the undefeated Aleister Black?
Whose quality of opponent surpasses both of those guys.
Precisely, yes.
Like, what the actual fuck, NXT? And then, dude, I think where my peak frustration comes in, and I know, to be fair, they probably won't do it, and of course we'll talk all about that when it comes to TakeOver Brooklyn preview and predictions, but there is always that fear, is a title change going to happen? Now, I don't think it will, but you can't definitively say that right now. They could decide to give it to McIntyre, and I'm pretty mad about that, as I already discussed, I think, last week, so I'm not going to rehash that whole thing here. But, like, if you have Rude as a heel champion, I think it needs to go to a babyface that could really carry that momentum. And the two names that on my mind have been Black or Gargano. And really, Gargano especially, because I think he's the perfect type of babyface. But Black is so fucking cool, and Rude has an ass-kicking coming to him that works, too, on a completely different level. McIntyre, to me, he doesn't fit any mold of satisfaction for a title win pop of a semi-dominant heel like Rude has been these last few months, because his reign is getting a bit lengthy at this point. And, yeah, I'm just knowing that that's our main event takes all the wind out of my sails in terms of like the NXT title picture.
I mean, to be fair, 2 years ago we had Owens Balor ladder match, and that was one that most people didn't really care about that either. But on that card, we had a lot of other matches that were worth getting excited about, like Bayley Sasha, like Vaudevillains versus Blake and Murphy, like Joe Corbin, that kind of stuff. But on this show, it's looking like our other two title matches are going to be Moon again versus Asuka and Sanity versus AOP, which, I mean, maybe on paper might seem cool, but I'm not looking forward to the match itself just because the only really good worker in that entire match is Killian Dane.
Yeah.
And even then, I'm still wishing he was Hanson. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They got the wrong big bearded guy.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioning Asuka versus Ember Moon too. I gotta say, behind Tommy Ono, that would be my most anticipated match because there is the story there of Asuka blatantly cheating to avoid the total eclipse. And of course, I am an Ember Moon fan, so there's that bias actually working in my favor for once. So yeah, those are the only two matches that I'm really looking forward to on this Brooklyn card. If there are any more, only time will tell. If Andrade gets on the card, if Aleister Black gets on the card, that'll help me. But the matches that you're really supposed to sell me on, like, oh, are you excited about, McIntyre versus Rude? No, I'm not actually, because I'm looking at Aleister Black and I'm like, I am so sorry. I am so sorry that you had physical bouts with both Cassius Ohno and Bobby Fish, and you have fucking nothing to show for it on a stage where you should be able to show it. So yeah, that's the rant for me. If I say anything else, it's going to start getting redundant. I don't even remember what we were talking about, to be honest. But I guess we can move
No,
on.
I can tell you exactly what we were talking about. We were talking about this segment between Bobby Roode and William Regal and Regal.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so just a really, really frustrating. And honestly, I kind of am disappointed now that we didn't bring that up for Heat of the Night because that is a problem.
Definitely. Well, hey, we brought it up now, so at least we got our gripes out. But
and it's even funny. I mean, we've even got the Lex Man in chat right now, and he said Brooklyn is going to be carried by Asuka versus Ember Moon and Gargano versus Ciampa. Not even realizing Ciampa's out till 2018, and that basically means that even in his eyes, the only real match on this card that's going to be worth watching is Asuka versus Ember Moon, and it's a match we've seen already. It's a rematch. I'm not that interested in a rematch.
Right. Man, Deluxe, man, I am so sorry you didn't even know about Ciampa. I've been able to get over my feelings all this time now, and I feel like it's so new to you. Yeah, it's pretty rough. I'm still looking forward to what Johnny Gargano is going to do. Was his segment next, by the way? Let's talk about something positive.
Yes, perfect segue. Johnny Gargano's here, talks about how he didn't see Ciampa turning on him coming, obviously. But then he says he needs to go back to just being Johnny Gargano, being Johnny Wrestling. And he has a new theme, which was hard to hear, but I sort of enjoyed what I did hear.
Yeah, it's funny because if you look at our Lucha Underground review earlier, I couldn't stop laughing at Phoenix because I'm thinking like he's so worthless, and it was so amazing to see him just that abused. And yet, if you look at Johnny Gargano, actually made me sympathize with him. I think he's a really, really strong babyface. And what I liked about it was I feel like his promo was the perfect length, didn't overstay his welcome. He's genuine, he's authentic. Really, if WWE was ever wondering, like, oh, how are we going to, replace Daniel Bryan, because they'll never let him wrestle for them again, and they've got him as the general manager figure, but as like an in-ring performer, how are we going to capture that magic again? The closest you'll ever come, if you can never replicate it, is Johnny Wrestling, because he's just got that relatability to people. And I thought it was really poetic, right, that he comes out to the ring with the DIY theme, and when he says, I have to look to the future, I have to become Johnny Wrestling again, he leaves with his own music. I think that was such a nice touch. Very nice touch. So he says he has to be a part of Brooklyn 3. Again, I hope he either gets Velveteen Dream or Andrade, and I think he could have a great match with both of those guys. And if the story is Johnny blazing his own path and being his own man, you got to take that first step. And to me, Andrade, especially in needing to rebuild his career, and Velveteen Dream are just the best performers that are emblematic to me of that first step. So those are the two matches for Johnny I'm pulling for to take over. But let's ask you real quick. First of all, what do you think of the promo? And what do you think of just the atmosphere and everything? And then as a side question outside the segment, who would you like to see Gargano face at his Brooklyn 3 at a takeover in his first big singles match?
I actually just had a thought, and this has nothing to do with the segment we're talking about, but do you realize that there were only 7 weeks in between NXT TakeOver Orlando and TakeOver Chicago?
No, I did not know that.
And that there were 13 or there are going to be 13 weeks between Chicago and Brooklyn 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. I think that they should have timed it a little better. Maybe just do 10 weeks between each one. But yeah, I think that would have helped the quality of the build of Brooklyn, because I think that they've just given themselves too much time. Because I'm at the point that I'm ready to start talking about Brooklyn and ready to start doing preview predictions, and it's still 5 weeks away almost.
Yeah, and dude, that's the thing. Just thinking about the Brooklyn card and stuff. Again, we've gotten some quality NXTs the past few weeks, but it's weird. I think they kind of did this backwards. If you really wanted to hype us up for Brooklyn and get other contenders out of the way, maybe create that suspense, who are going to be the champions going into Brooklyn, and then do that closer to Brooklyn, not further away from it, because now it seems like we're going to be focusing on build, and given the card they're building towards, I don't really know if they're going to be the best episodes of NXT. So that remains to be seen. But getting back on subject, though, I did ask you a question, what you thought about this and who you would like to see Gargano face at his first NXT takeover as a singles competitor.
Well, I mean, really, at this point, it's probably just going to be sort of a mid-card heel, like a mid-card NXT heel. So the only 2 names that really come to my mind are Andrade and Velveteen Dream.
Yeah. So pretty much what I've been saying then you agree with.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference between the two? Or
You know, oh man, Andrade almost makes more sense because I was thinking like match quality wise, I would prefer Andrade because like I like Velveteen Dream, but at the same time, he's still got some growing to do as far as an in-ring worker goes. Andrade is a very polished in-ring product, but then I was thinking like who makes more sense character-wise, and I feel like Velveteen Dream could kind of pull off like the "oh you're such a baby, stop crying about your friend leaving you." I'm Velveteen Dream. I don't need friends or whatever, or everyone is my friend, depending on how we want to go about it. But like Andrade could straight up just be like, dude, you think you have problems because your best friend turned on you? Do you see this shit that I have to deal with every single week? And pointing to Thea, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
just kind of, or maybe even just teaching him to tranquilo.
Yeah, really to me, and like I'm a huge Andrade mark, but honestly, I think Velveteen Dream would be the better choice, and I say that for quite a few reasons. Number one, I feel like they're planning Andrade's comeback because sooner or later he's going to capitulate to Thea and be like, okay, whatever you want to do, let's try things your way. He's
Okay,
gonna
well
win.
here's a little bit of like a non-spoilery spoiler. I'm not going to tell you who. I'm not going to tell you who wins. I'm not going to tell you how long the match lasts. I'm not going to tell you anything. But what I will tell you is that Andrade does have at least one match between now and Brooklyn.
Well, thank fucking Christ for that, because I already told you I need my fix. I'm getting really, I'm getting really crotchety about not seeing him because I think he's one of the best acts they have. But anyway, continuing what I was saying, I think he's going to capitulate to her. He's going to win. Now watch me be wrong because I don't want you to tell me what happens, but just watch it all blow up in my face because it's me. But yeah, he wins. He finds his footing, whatever. So then we can begin to rebuild him because I still want him to be a future NXT champion and mainly WWE champion on SmackDown Live, but I digress. Why I think Velveteen Dream works is because I think he can take the loss. I agree with you completely. I think he's got more of the character chops to kind of throw it.
Oh, so you think Gargano has to win at Brooklyn? See,
yes.
Gargano is at his best an underdog character. He's like an Enzo Amore, like Daniel Bryan, like that underdog coming, fighting from underneath kind of situation. So like a Sami Zayn type.
See, and
losing almost gets him more over.
See, and I don't disagree with you, but there's a time and a place to lose, and it's not right after your partner kicks you to the curb. I think Gargano has to prove first that he can stand on his own 2 feet since he's looking to the future. And then when he fights the bigger game, then we can talk about him losing and taking those steps back because that's only natural. But given that Ciampa just like betrayed him and stuff, I think if you were to lose, that would kind of kayfabe-wise say, well, who is he without Tommaso Ciampa? He needs to show he can be somebody, and he needs to do
but
that.
Doesn't that make for a more interesting story, though?
I mean, possibly.
Who is Johnny Gargano without Tommaso Ciampa? I don't know. Let's find out.
I mean, and here's the thing. I agree with you, but I don't think NXT agrees with you. And I've got to think about NXT's mindset.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll see, though. I mean, I think it definitely comes down to those two guys. I know who I would prefer.
Right.
I mean, I'd be content with either one. I mean, I don't have a problem with Velveteen Dream. I just think that Almas beating Gargano would be a more interesting story than Gargano beating either Almas or Velveteen Dream.
And I could certainly understand that. Again, I appreciate where you're coming from, but I just feel like NXT is going to start like this slow ascent of Gargano. In fact, honestly, if I'm being truthful, thinking about the way NXT sees it, he may not see like a big time loss until the first time he challenges Root, because I don't think he'll win the NXT title the first time challenging for it. But yeah, that'll probably be the obstacle. Everything other than that, I don't want to say it'll be smooth sailing, but I think you can count on Johnny Wrestling pulling it out. Regardless, though, we can move on. So what came after this?
The final match of the night, Heavy Machinery versus Authors of Pain for the NXT Tag Team Championship.
Oh, great. We can be quick about this. I thought it was a decent match. Nothing really to write home about. I think we knew what this match was going to be. And really, it didn't exceed expectations. It wasn't beneath expectations. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be. A Haas fight where maybe Heavy Machinery got a few good things in. They did get one hope spot in where they're able to get one of the Authors of Pain members out of the ring and do a double team where Tucker slammed Otis on top of, I want to say it was Akam. But, that was a kick out. and then when they tried, their double team finisher, they got cut off, and then they got hit with the last chapter. I believe that was Otis that got hit with the last chapter. So yeah, this match was really nothing special. Definitely the weakest of the title matches to me. I would say tag title match 1 or tag title match 3, women's championship match 2, and then the NXT championship match comes in at the best title match that they had. Because I feel like Rude and Strong really killed it. So yeah, really didn't care for this. Authors of Pain celebrating after the match, but then Sanity interrupts Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf, while presumably the pages of the Authors of Pain's book that Paul Ellering keeps, because after all he did develop the algorithm, start raining down in the arena. Alexander Wolf eats some because he's low on fiber, and that's how we end NXT tonight. So what did you think about all this?
As far as the match goes, really just further proof that the Authors of Pain are still very young, very green, and have a long ass way to go before they're like really well seasoned in the ring. Otis Dozovic is a goddamn star, and I don't think anyone's going to convince me otherwise, but his path to the top is going to be very interesting and unlike anything we've seen before. So that's going to be fun. Tucker Knight is kind of a nothing. Like he's honestly, out of these 4 guys, Tucker Knight might be the best actual in-ring worker. I'm not even joking, but he's pretty boring and he doesn't really have that much charisma or anything like that. So just a boring match for me. I mean, it wasn't bad by any means. It was just like a kick back and let it happen. And then when it's over, it's like, okay, that happened, I guess,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, dude, it's funny you mentioned Otis having the star quality, because I feel like the biggest pop for this match came from him when he did the belly-to-belly suplex as part of his hot tag.
That was sick.
Yeah, I feel like that got a huge pop from the crowd. And I feel like his look, and I mean literally his look, like if you look at that face and how he's built and, just like his energy, he's almost got like, I don't want to say like an Ultimate Warrior-like quality with how he speaks, but he's not like the most eloquent guy. But you know what? That's not a bad thing, though.
Well, neither was Warrior. Holy shit.
Beg pardon?
Neither was Warrior.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But yet Warrior got insanely
It sounded
over.
like you were qualifying he isn't the most articulate or whatever, as if Warrior was. Like I was.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like there is something Warrior-esque about him because he isn't the most like articulate guy.
See, you say Warrior, I say Steiner. His talking style reminds me more of Steiner than Warrior.
And that's fair. That's fair. I think what'll make Otis work, because, I mean, we already have stake in weights. This guy, if he can learn to speak in sound bites, I think he'll go a long, long way. For sure. Yep. And, yeah, really got nothing else to say about that. Unless you have anything else to add, we can move right along.
Well, that was actually the final segment, match of the night. So other than, Sanity showing up for an attack, which you already touched on, we can just move on to our next segment entirely.
High spots and low shots. Low shot, heavy machinery. You got your tag title match and you lost. Back of the line. Do better next time. Suck less. Who's your low shot?
Way to fail, guys.
Exactly.
Honestly, I mean, I feel like I could give my low shot to a lot of people. I could give it to Drew McIntyre because he got beat down. But in that same note, he was gifted a #1 contenders match that he really didn't deserve. I could give my low shot to Aleister Black for not being given a title opportunity, but he did win the best match of the night, so I can't really in all good conscience give him that. You know what? As kind of a cheeky jab, I'm going to give my low shot to Kayla Braxton, because she was in one segment tonight, and it was just her failing at her job.
Yeah, way to suck at it, Kayla. God, I hope you're crying about it. Anyway, high spot. You know what? I am going to give my high spot to Aleister Black. In my mind, the unacknowledged #1 contender for the NXT Championship. It's a grave injustice that he's not even in the conversation for the SummerSlam of NXT. I think that's some bullshit. But he did.
Let's be honest, though. Even though it's during the summer, Brooklyn is the WrestleMania of NXT.
Yeah, that really is true. Which makes it even more of an injustice in my mind. Yeah, that said, he did win his match tonight, and not only did he win, he just continues to prove that he's not only the best act in NXT to me right now, one of the best acts company-wide in the entire WWE right now.
Oh, for sure.
like, if he's not top 5, which I'm sure in some people he is, and I think you could make that case, he most certainly is top 10. I'd have to think. So, yeah, Aleister Black's my high spot. Who's your high spot?
Yeah, my high spot is actually somebody that I'm not the biggest fan of, but somebody that had a really freaking good night tonight, and that's Killian Dane. He was a member or kind of a participant in the beatdown of Drew McIntyre, who we found out is actually going to be his opponent next week because he also was gifted #1 contender match. So I don't even know if they were going out of their way to attack Drew McIntyre because they found out about the match, or if it just happened that they just don't like Drew McIntyre and they went after him and found out about the match afterwards. But considering the beatdown happened apparently last week and we just found out about it this week, it's probably safe to say they didn't know about the match yet. So happy coincidence. Congrats, Killian. You got a leg up on your competition.
Yeah, nothing more I can really add than that. I think you articulated it perfectly. With that said, is there anything else you want to say about NXT tonight?
No, sir. I think that's about all I've got to say. I'm really looking forward to our next 5v5 video. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I'm shifting pieces all over the place, brother, and that should be seen as a compliment to all the performers that have made me do all this mental work because it's just been amazing.
Yeah, because you got to remember our last one was it was Thursday, April 6th.
Yeah, damn.
And I'm pretty sure our next one is going to be the Thursday following SummerSlam.
Oh, okay. So not too much further, all things considered. All right, well, guys, I can't wait.
7 weeks or so, I'd say.
Yeah, guys, I can't wait to do that. That's really become one of my favorite things that we do on this channel. I know it'll only be the second one, but I just love the concept so much. And I love being able to talk about it.
By then, we'll be all the way through G1 Climax.
Oh, yes. I mean, I am looking forward to it this year, but when you're in the midst of it, you always remember what a grind it is. So, yeah, that'll be nice. But, guys, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my coordinate commentary action. Guys, be sure to comment, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for NXT reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please, if you have not, leave a like. Now, as you guys know, all of our media is in the description box. Everything from our Twitter handles all the way to the Teespring store. Check out all of it at your leisure. Get in on all that sweet, sweet TwitWoW goodness. 2 things I want to plug. First and foremost, Patreon. 3 pay tiers. We got live reactions, live reaction and review bundle, and newest thing, which I'm very excited about, the TwitWoW Discord. Essentially, the Discord is the most intimate way to connect with Ashton and myself. I think it goes far beyond Twitter, it goes far beyond anything we've offered. The Discord allows you guys to converse with us in real time about pro wrestling. We got a wrestling talk tab. We got a general talk tab if you want to talk games, music, movies, whatever. I've been more participatory in the Discord. You know, the latest thing we did was have a discussion about Monday Night Raw, and I know there were conversations going on in the general. I focus more on the wrestling talk personally. You know, that's my bread and butter and all that shit. So yeah, there's plenty to do in the Discord. It's only $3 a month, and we have conversations there that I do not have on Twitter. I do not have, like, you know, on any other media or anything like that. It's really Discord exclusive, if I was to say so myself. And I think the great thing about such a cheap price point of $3 a month, and this is the one point I always want to emphasize, if you stick with the Discord, hypothetically, say you donate your $3 and you stick with it for 10 months, that accrues. So $3 times 10 months, that's $30. 10 months on the Discord, you know what that gets you? 2 words, my friend: purchasing power, because it increases exponentially. $30, you know what you're able to do with that? Oh, not much really, except, you know, request a 3-hour show for a live reactions. You know, that's some serious gain right there. That's some serious control over the content on the TwitWoW channel. So you invest in the Discord, which is not even a painful investment. I mean, again, you get to talk with the 2 of us, a direct line to the 2 of us. That's better than a direct line to the president and the Pope combined. And then, you know, if you stick with your investment, it grows into that. So, guys, as I always say about the Discord, it is a win, win, win. And you know what that means? It's a winning triangle, equilateral in look, which is much better than scalene because scalene triangles are for marks. So get on the Discord if you haven't already. As far as the other thing I want to plug, guys, of course, Q&A. Q&A, we do that the last Thursday of every month. This month, it is July 27th. We are just at the stroke of midnight now, which means you have 2 weeks exactly to get your questions in to Q&A. Now, guys, I talk about every time the mediums you have to submit questions. Go on our Twitters, tweet at us. I have a pinned tweet specifically dedicated to receive your questions. If you feel like that's messy because, oh, John may lose it, which, I mean, I'm perfect. That's not possible. But if you don't want to take that risk, you can DM me. Get the questions there. If you want to wait for this video to process and comment your questions there, you have the freedom to do that. If you want to visit the TWitWoW Facebook page, we would ask that you leave a like on that page if you're visiting it for the first time, but you can inbox us your questions. You know, we've had people employ that method. There is no reason why your voice should be left out of the discussion, because I remember when we were doing this very early on, we would have some people say, oh, you know, I wish I knew about Q&A. Well, you know, and you knew every chance that I get to plug it because it's one of the biggest videos we do every month, and I don't want any of you guys to miss out because the range of questions we get from you guys, it's a thing of beauty, man. I mean, we get questions from wrestling all the way to, hey, did you see this Netflix show? Did it depress the fuck out of you? And what did you think about it? Or, hey, guys, if you were a comic book hero and you could kick somebody in the nuts, who would you kick? Like, it's amazing. It's amazing the questions we get asked month to month. Do not miss out on it. I think it's a very, very intimate experience between us and our fans. So you've got 2 weeks. Get them in. And I know I didn't mention this for the Lucha Underground review, because I guess I just, you know, I forget everything every once in a while. 4-question cap. We're still doing 4 questions. We did get 70 questions last month, but we're still keeping the 4-question cap. We're not really tampering with it right now. So 4 questions per Q&A. Get them in, and you can divvy them up any way you like. Most common route, of course, is to get 2 perspectives at the price of 1 question. But if you feel like you know Ashton and me pretty well, and you feel like it's more specialized, like, oh, Ashton, what did you think about such and such, that you know he could answer, or you ask me something that you know only I can answer, that, of course, is fine, too. We definitely appreciate questions like that. And, hell, we've seen a rise in questions for both John and Ashton Scumbag, which is very interesting. So, yeah, guys, just be sure to get in on it. Now, that's all out of the way, just want to remind everybody that tomorrow at 3 p.m., go live at 3, we are doing a Patreon request review. I believe this was Mark Schoenemann's Patreon request. We are doing live reactions to Money in the Bank 2011, which, I mean, yes, the same show that includes the infamous WWE Championship match, CM Punk versus John Cena, WWE title. Punk wins and walks out. You know, his contract just expires. But will he lose? Find out. Seriously, though, if you don't already know, I really don't know what to tell you. But we're live reacting to that show tomorrow. We'll be live at 3. Be sure to join us. You don't want to miss it. Until then, guys, that wraps up TWitWoW for the night. Until then, I'm John. That's my core and commentary Ashton. And you tune in and peace out.